The world tore open like a wound in the fabric of reality. One moment, Thor was locked in a furious celestial skirmish, Mjolnir a blur of defiant thunder in his grip. The next, a blinding, emerald-tinged tear in space swallowed him whole. The scream of the Bifrost anomaly, amplified by unfamiliar energies, twisted his very being, stretching and compressing him across dimensions. He felt his connection to Mjolnir, a bond woven into the marrow of his bones, suddenly snapping. It wasn't just gone. It was utterly silent, a void where once a symphony of thunder and loyalty had resided. Then came the impact. He hit the ground like a meteor, the earth groaning beneath him, scattering ancient stone and splintering wood. Pain, sharp and immediate, lanced through his skull, a cacophony of agony that momentarily eclipsed the chaos already engulfing his senses. Dust and grit filled his mouth, the acrid tang of burnt magic and ozone stinging his nostrils. He lay prone for a moment, the world tilting, a guttural groan escaping his lips. Mjolnir, he rasped, his voice raw, testing the air for the familiar hum, the reassuring weight. Nothing. Only the deafening roar of a battle he didn't recognize. He pushed himself up, every muscle screaming in protest, vision blurring. The air thrummed with raw power, but it wasn't the clean, vibrant magic of Asgard. This was darker, desperate, laced with terror. He saw towering spires of what looked like an ancient stronghold, besieged by a storm of arcane light. Spells, like lethal serpents, streaked across the night sky, carving trails of destruction. Figures, cloaked and masked, dueled with others in robes, their faces etched with a fear that Thor knew well from countless wars. His head cleared fractionally. He was near a colossal structure, its many towers silhouetted against a sky choked with smoke and streaks of green light. Explosions ripped through ancient walls, sending debris raining down. The screams were no longer distant. They were right here, raw and visceral, the cries of the wounded, the terrified, the dying. Children. He saw young ones, barely out of adolescence, their faces pale with fright, holding what looked like glorified sticks, firing bright, dangerous sparks. Thor's fists clenched, searching for the familiar heft of his hammer, only to find empty air. A new wave of disorientation washed over him. Weaponless. He, Thor Odinson, god of thunder, Prince of Asgard, was weaponless in the midst of a battle for a realm he didn't know. The shame burned hotter than the scrapes and bruises covering his body. He stumbled forward, his boots crunching on rubble, shattered statues, chunks of stone, snapped wands. A glint of polished wood, almost iridescent, caught his eye amidst the debris of a fallen wall. It lay beside a still, robed figure, its face obscured by the dust, one hand still reaching as if in a final, futile gesture. It was a wand. But not like the slender, innocuous sticks he'd seen the young ones wielding. This was different. Longer, darker, with gnarled imperfections that seemed to writhe with latent power. As he neared it, a strange resonance thrummed in his chest, an echo of something familiar, yet utterly alien. It was like the faint whisper of a distant storm, calling to his own intrinsic power. Instinctively, Thor bent down and picked it up. The moment his fingers closed around the polished, ancient wood, a jolt of pure energy surged through him. It wasn't lightning, not exactly, but something akin to it, a wild, untamed river of power that hummed in his very veins, amplifying the static electricity that always resided within him. It felt alive, vibrating in sync with his own godly essence. He had never held anything quite like it. This wasn't merely a focus for magic. It was a conduit, a battery, and a magnifying glass for him. His gaze snapped back to the battle. A flash of sickly green light erupted near the castle gates, followed by a sickening thud. A young woman, no older than Sif, collapsed, her eyes wide and unseeing. Above her, a masked figure cackled, a chilling sound that scraped against Thor's very soul. His jaw tightened. He might not know this realm, might not have Mjolnir, but innocent blood spilled was innocent blood spilled, regardless of the dimension. His oath as a protector transcended realms. "Stop," he roared, his voice booming through the din, and used the sudden lack of thunder to accompany it. His feet, driven by pure instinct, carried him forward, a blur of motion. The masked figure, a Death Eater, turned, wand raised, surprised by the sudden, unarmored giant hurtling towards him. Foul mudblood. Before the Death Eater could finish, Thor was upon him, a hurricane of raw, unaugmented Asgardian might. He slammed his fist into the wizard's gut, ignoring the feeble stupefy that glanced off his chest, sending the man flying into a crumbling wall. The impact was sickening, leaving a dent in the stone and a crumpled form. "You lay hands on the defenseless," Thor snarled, though his words were likely lost in the cacophony. His eyes scanned the battlefield, looking for the source of the overwhelming dread, the architect of this chaos. Then he saw him. A gaunt, serpentine figure, hairless and pale, stood atop a precarious pile of rubble, his crimson eyes gleaming with cold, calculating malice. He held a wand that looked strikingly similar to the one Thor now clutched, though somehow darker, more malevolent. This creature radiated an aura of oppressive evil, a palpable wave of dread that made even Thor's godly blood run cold. He was surrounded by a phalanx of his cloaked followers, each a beacon of hate. This was the Storm's Eye. This was the terror. Lord Voldemort. The name echoed in his mind, whispered by the fear in the air. Voldemort raised his wand, and with a guttural, sibilant hiss, unleashed a stream of emerald death at a group of students huddled behind a makeshift barricade. Thor's blood ran cold. He had seen enough battle to recognize a killing blow. His hand, still clasping the Elder Wand, shot out, not in any precise spellcasting gesture, but in the instinctual motion of a god commanding his element. He felt the familiar surge of power, but it was different with this wand, amplified, raw, less controlled. Instead of a precise bolt, a torrent of crackling blue-white lightning, thick as a tree trunk, erupted from the wand's tip. It wasn't a wizard's spell. It was the fury of a storm unleashed. The lightning cannonballed towards Voldemort's curse, striking it midair. The clash was apocalyptic. The green spell, already formidable, dissipated into sparks of dark energy under the overwhelming force of Thor's arcane lightning, which then arced wildly, striking the ground around Voldemort and his Death Eaters with devastating force. Stone exploded, sending shards flying like shrapnel. A shriek of terror rose from the Death Eaters as several of them were flung backward, their cloaks smoking, some twitching on the ground, others screaming. Voldemort himself, though untouched by the direct strike, staggered back, a flicker of genuine shock crossing his snake-like features. His crimson eyes narrowed, focusing on Thor with an intensity that promised unimaginable retribution. The battle had momentarily silenced around them, a collective gasp rippling through the warring factions. Everyone, friend and foe alike, stared at the massive, blonde stranger, clad in unfamiliar battle-torn leather and chainmail, who had just unleashed a primal force that dwarfed any magic they had ever witnessed. Thor, for his part, was just as stunned. The lightning had felt exhilarating, more potent, more untamed than anything he'd ever channeled through Mjolnir. But it had also felt chaotic, barely constrained. He looked at the smoking crater where the Death Eaters had stood, then at the gnarled wand clutched in his hand, a strange sense of awe and terror mixing in his chest. What was this power? He gripped the wand tighter, his knuckles white. His mind, still disoriented, latched onto one undeniable truth. This unknown weapon, this strange magic, had saved lives. And as long as he drew breath, he would continue to protect them. You will not harm them, Thor declared, his voice a low rumble, devoid of its usual booming thunder, but filled with an unwavering resolve that cut through the lingering silence. He pointed the Elder Wand at Voldemort, not knowing what incantation to utter, only knowing that his will to protect was now amplified, weaponized. A faint crackle of energy danced at the tip of the wand, responding to his intent. Voldemort watched him, his face a mask of cold fury, curiosity, and a terrifying disdain. "Who are you, creature?" the Dark Lord hissed, his voice echoing across the courtyard. "And what foul magic is this?" Thor, Prince of Asgard, God of Thunder, stood his ground amidst the smoking ruins of Hogwarts, weaponless, but for a sliver of ancient, arcane wood that thrummed with the power of 1,000 storms. He didn't know how he got here, or how he would get back, but he knew one thing for certain. A new battle had begun, and he was undeniably, irrevocably, in its thickest part. And this time, the thunder was just finding its voice. The air still thrummed with residual magical energy, the scent of ozone mixing with dust, and the acrid tang of burnt cloth. Thor, half kneeling amidst the rubble of a shattered classroom corridor, felt as if he'd been struck by his own lightning. His head swam, not just from the impact of his arrival, but from the sheer, uncontrolled power that had just surged through him. The sliver of wood in his hand, the Elder Wand, felt both alien and intensely familiar, a raw conduit that had amplified something within him, something wilder than the structured power of Mjolnir. "Are you all right?" A voice, sharp with concern and intellectual curiosity, cut through the din of distant screams and spellfire. Thor blinked, his vision slowly clearing. Standing over him, her bushy brown hair slightly askew, but her eyes keenly assessing, was a young woman. She clutched a slender piece of wood in her own hand, much like his, but hers seemed a natural extension of her arm, not a foreign object. Her gaze flickered from his dazed face to the Elder Wand he still gripped. There was a spark of recognition, or perhaps a dawning horror, in her expression as she looked at it. "I have been better," Thor grunted, pushing himself upright. Every muscle ached, a foreign sensation for the god of thunder. He scanned the broken hall, the scattered bodies, some still, some stirring. What realm is this? Where's the Bifrost? The young woman's brow furrowed. The Bifrost? We're at Hogwarts, during the Battle of Hogwarts. And you're bleeding. How did you get in here? The wards were impenetrable until it all started. She gestured vaguely at the destruction. And that wand. Where did you get that? Thor, still grappling with the unfamiliarity of everything, tried to process her rapid-fire questions. Wards? I came through the void, a tear in the fabric of existence. My hammer, Mjolnir, it was with me. Now it is gone. Its connection severed. He flexed his hand, trying to feel the familiar thrum of his weapon, the inherent call to its power. Nothing. Just an emptiness, a profound silence where a symphony of thunder used to be. This wand, he held up the Elder Wand, I found it. It called to me. The woman's eyes widened. It called to you? That's impossible. It's the Elder Wand. It chooses its master, but it's not meant to be found like that, not by. She trailed off, her gaze sweeping over his outlandish attire, the tattered remnants of Asgardian leather and chainmail, a stark contrast to the school robes and Death Eater cloaks she was accustomed to. Who are you? I am Thor Odinson, Prince of Asgard, God of Thunder, he declared, though the title felt hollow without Mjolnir's weight in his grip. And you, lady? Hermione Granger, she replied, her voice still a blend of awe and disbelief. Right. Asgard. Never heard of it. But God of Thunder might explain that. She pointed to a scorch mark across the ceiling where Thor's uncontrolled lightning blast had dissipated. That wasn't any spell I've ever seen. Thor looked at the damage, then at the Elder Wand. It was raw, like drawing from a storm, but without its proper channel. A blind strike. He tried to remember what had happened. One moment, he was fighting some interdimensional creature alongside Volstagg and Sif. The next, a blinding flash, a sickening lurch, and then, this. There is a great evil here. I saw it. A figure cloaked in shadows, eyes like embers, unleashing terror. Hermione's face hardened. Voldemort. He's trying to kill Harry Potter. And anyone who stands with him. He wants absolute power, believes he's above death itself. She glanced around nervously. We need to move. It's not safe out here. Come on. She led him through twisting corridors, past more wreckage, toward a less damaged section of the castle. Her movements were swift, purposeful, her eyes constantly scanning for danger. Thor, despite his confusion, recognized the warrior's instinct in her. This Voldemort, Thor began, he wields a dark magic. Is it like the sorcery of Jotunheim? Or the vile arts of Svartalfheim? Hermione scoffed. Jotunheim? Svartalfheim? I have no idea what you're talking about, but Voldemort's magic is, uniquely insidious. He's taken ordinary magic, twisted it into instruments of torture and murder. He's a parselmouth, can speak to snakes. He uses ancient curses, necromancy, and he's made himself functionally immortal. Thor stopped abruptly. Immortal? Is he a true god? Or a being of immense power, like a fire demon? No, not a god, Hermione said, her voice dropping to a near whisper, even amidst the distant sounds of battle. He achieved it through something called Horcruxes. He split his soul into fragments and hid them in various objects. As long as even one of those fragments exists, he can't truly die. He can be injured, his body destroyed, but he'll always find a way back. Thor's eyes narrowed. This was a concept utterly alien to him. Asgardians possessed long lives, resilience, and vast power, but true immortality was a gift of the gods, not something to be made. Splitting one's soul? Such a thing is an abomination. How is it done? Hermione looked grim. By committing the foulest acts imaginable. Murder. Each murder tears the soul, and if one intends to, that tear can be sealed into an object, making it a Horcrux. There were 7 in total, though we believe some have already been destroyed by Harry and Dumbledore. 7 pieces of a wicked soul, scattered across this realm, Thor mused, a new kind of strategy forming in his mind. This wasn't a foe to be met with a single mighty blow. This was a hunt. So to truly defeat him, these Horcruxes must be found and shattered. Precisely, Hermione confirmed, her gaze hardening with resolve. And only then can he be killed. But they are hidden well, protected by powerful dark magic, and some are living. Living? Thor asked, incredulous. Yes. One is his snake, Nagini. A familiar, but also a living Horcrux. It's always with him, or close by. Thor clenched his jaw. This was a war of an entirely different nature. Not brute strength against brute strength, but a delicate, dangerous pursuit of spiritual fragments. My hammer, Mjolnir, it could shatter any physical object, but a soul. How do you destroy such a thing? You need something that can inflict damage beyond the physical, Hermione explained. Basilisk venom, fiend fire. That's a dangerous, dark magical fire. Or a powerful magical artifact, like the Sword of Gryffindor, which absorbs whatever makes it stronger. It absorbed basilisk venom, for instance, making it capable of destroying Horcruxes. She paused, then looked at the Elder Wand in Thor's hand. Perhaps that wand could do it. Its power is unparalleled. Thor looked at the wand, a mere stick of wood, and then back at Hermione. It feels wild. Unruly. The power it channels, it is immense, but I do not command it with precision. He extended his arm, attempting to conjure something simple. A small spark, erratic and uncontrolled, flew from the tip, striking a nearby suit of armor with a clang, sending it toppling. Hermione flinched, but then a fascinated gleam entered her eyes. You're not casting spells, are you? You're just channeling. It's like raw magic, unfiltered. Most wizards need to learn incantations, wand movements, intent. It focuses the magic. You're just letting it out. She stepped closer, her academic curiosity overriding her caution. What if you try to think of what you want? Not just feel the power, but direct it with your will. My will is always directed, Thor countered, a hint of frustration in his tone. I will the lightning, it comes. I will my hammer, it flies. He closed his eyes, concentrating. He pictured Mjolnir, pictured the lightning arcing from his fingertips. He felt the familiar surge, but instead of the controlled crackle of lightning, a beam of pure, unstable energy shot from the Elder Wand, blowing a hole clean through a nearby wall before dissipating into sparks. Whoa! Hermione exclaimed, ducking. Okay, not quite the same. It's like you're trying to use a scalpel as a hammer. The power is there, clearly, but it needs finesse. This wand, it amplifies intent, yes, but also precision. It's like a finely tuned instrument. You have to learn how to play it, not just bang on it. Thor stared at the hole in the wall, then at the wand. A scalpel for a hammer, he repeated, considering. His entire life, his entire being, had been built around the hammer. Around mighty blows, concussive force, sweeping power. This was different. This was control, subtlety. A new kind of discipline. Voldemort's power, Hermione continued, oblivious to his internal struggle, is not just in his spells, but in the fear he instills. He has an army of loyal followers, the Death Eaters, who thrive on chaos and cruelty. And he controls the Ministry of Magic, the governing body of our world, for all intents and purposes. An entire realm subjugated by fear and fragmented evil, Thor said, his voice grave. This cannot stand. This Voldemort must be stopped. The Horcruxes must be found. He looked at Hermione, a newfound resolve burning in his eyes. You understand this magic, these artifacts. I understand battle, tactics, the pursuit of evil. We will find these abominations. We will shatter them. Hermione looked at him, truly looked at him, and saw not just a bewildered warrior from another dimension, but a god, a protector, whose moral compass was as unwavering as Harry's own. And he held the Elder Wand, the most powerful wand ever created. All right, she said, a small, determined smile gracing her lips. If we're going to hunt Horcruxes, we need to be strategic. The last one Harry destroyed was a diadem hidden in the Room of Requirement, right here in the castle. It's possible there might be another still here, or one very close by. We need to find Harry. He'll know the most. He's already searching for something, I think. Thor nodded, the weight of a new purpose settling upon his shoulders. Mjolnir was gone, his familiar world light years away. But the innocent were in peril, and a threat unlike any he had faced before loomed. He had stumbled into this realm, weaponless, but the Elder Wand, this volatile, potent piece of wood, pulsed faintly in his hand. It was a challenge, a new path. Then let us begin, Thor declared, looking toward the distant sounds of fighting, a glint of thunder in his eyes. Tell me, Hermione Granger, where do we strike first? Which of these foul fragments shall we hunt? The rumble of collapsing stone was a constant percussion to the symphony of screams and curses that defined the Battle of Hogwarts. Thor, standing beside Harry and Hermione in a relatively quiet alcove off the Great Hall, felt the vibration deep in his bones. The Elder Wand pulsed faintly in his grip, a familiar warmth that was quickly becoming a second nature. Nagini, Harry said, his voice tight with grim determination, is almost certainly with Voldemort. She's his last Horcrux, the one he keeps closest. Hermione nodded, her eyes darting between Harry and Thor. We need to sever her connection to him. Destroy her. That will make him mortal again, truly vulnerable. And where might this serpent be found? Thor asked, his brow furrowed. Is it some monstrous beast of Jotunheim, or merely an oversized garden snake? Harry managed a faint, grim smile. She's Voldemort's familiar, magically protected. She's deadly, fast, and her fangs carry a potent venom. We saw her earlier with him, moving towards the boathouse or somewhere near the ground's perimeter. He probably wants her out of the thickest fighting. Out towards the lake, Hermione clarified, pointing vaguely towards the massive oak doors that led to the grounds. It's treacherous out there. Death Eaters are everywhere, and the castle itself is a battlefield. Then let us make haste, Thor declared, gripping the Elder Wand tighter. I have no desire to see more innocents perish while we deliberate. They burst out of the alcove, immediately plunged back into pandemonium. A flurry of red and green curses crisscrossed the corridor. Thor instinctively raised the Elder Wand, and a crackle of raw, untamed energy flared outwards, deflecting a powerful blasting curse meant for a group of fleeing students. The force of it splintered a nearby statue into a shower of marble dust. Thor, careful. Hermione cried, pushing a terrified first year into a safer doorway. Controlled bursts. Think of precision, not just power. He grunted, frustrated. My apologies, Lady Hermione. My hammer had a more predictable trajectory. Just focus the lightning. Imagine it as a single strike, not a storm, Harry urged, ducking under a curse and retaliating with a sharp stupefy. They navigated through the chaos, a peculiar trinity. Harry, agile and fiercely protective, weaving spells with practiced grace. Hermione, a whirlwind of defensive charms and tactical shouts, shielding them both from incoming fire. And Thor, a formidable anchor, his Asgardian strength deflecting physical blows, his immense presence a shield, while the Elder Wand in his hand hummed with volatile energy. He was learning, adapting. Instead of a wild blast, he'd send a focused jolt of electricity to disarm a Death Eater, or channel a surge of power through the ground, tripping an advancing foe. He even attempted a basic Protego on Hermione's advice, not a perfect shimmering shield, but a visible distortion in the air that absorbed a glancing curse. The boathouse. Harry yelled over the din, pointing through a shattered window towards the lake. "I see movement." They made their way down a crumbling staircase, the air growing colder as they neared the lake. The boathouse, a stone structure jutting into the water, was indeed their target. As they approached, a dark figure emerged from its shadows, wand held high. "Bellatrix Lestrange," Harry whispered, his voice laced with venom. Thor narrowed his eyes. He recognized her from Hermione's descriptions, a fanatical killer, Voldemort's most loyal lieutenant. Her manic grin seemed to stretch wider as she saw them. And coiled around her feet, immense and terrifying, was Nagini. Her scales, dark as midnight, gleamed faintly in the sparse moonlight, her forked tongue flicking, tasting the air. "Potter!" Bellatrix shrieked, her voice a cruel song of glee. "And the mudblood. And what's this? A new pet for the Dark Lord? How amusing." She wasted no time, launching an Avada Kedavra directly at Harry. Thor reacted instantly. This curse, he knew, was different. It carried no force, no heat, just an undeniable finality. His Asgardian durability would mean nothing. Without Mjolnir to summon a shield of pure energy, he relied on pure speed and the Elder Wand. He didn't know the counter-curse, but he knew the principle of deflection. He swung the Elder Wand in a wide, desperate arc, channeling all his will into creating a barrier. A violent, crackling burst of pure, raw energy erupted from the wand, a makeshift lightning wall that collided with the Emerald Curse. The two energies clashed with a sickening crack, not quite deflecting, but dissipating the killing curse just inches from Harry's face. The backlash sent a shockwave through the air, throwing gravel into their faces. "Impossible!" Bellatrix shrieked, her eyes wide with disbelief. "She's protected!" Hermione yelled, launching a barrage of stunning spells at Nagini, which merely bounced off the serpent's magically reinforced hide. "She will not pass." Thor roared, stepping forward, his eyes blazing. He unleashed a focused bolt of lightning from the Elder Wand, aiming it directly at Bellatrix. It wasn't the wild storm of his previous attempts, but a concentrated spear of brilliant energy. Bellatrix, surprised by the sheer power, barely managed to apparate a foot to her left, the lightning scorching the stone where she'd stood a moment before. She retaliated with a flurry of dark curses, sharp and precise. Thor met them head-on, using his physical strength to barrel through smaller curses, his skin sparking where a particularly nasty cutting curse grazed his arm. He used the Elder Wand to conjure a hasty, almost primal shield of shimmering force, blocking a direct hit to his chest that would have crumpled a lesser man. "The snake, Harry!" Hermione cried, pushing past Thor to send a series of blasting curses at Bellatrix, forcing her to focus on Hermione rather than Harry. Harry, seeing his opening, charged towards Nagini. The serpent, however, was unervingly fast. She lunged, her fangs aiming for Harry's throat. Harry rolled, narrowly avoiding the strike, and scrambled to his feet, trying to get around Bellatrix to get a clear shot at the snake. Thor saw the danger. He couldn't risk another direct attack on Bellatrix without exposing Harry or Hermione. He needed to incapacitate the Guardian. "Hermione, Harry, cover your ears," he bellowed. Before they could fully react, Thor roared, a sound that echoed across the lake, ancient and powerful. He didn't aim a spell. Instead, he channeled the full, raw power of the Elder Wand into his hand, then slammed it into the ground. A colossal shockwave of pure thunder and lightning erupted. The very earth trembled. The boathouse shuddered, stone cracking, tiles shattering. Bellatrix was thrown violently backward, hitting the stone wall with a sickening crunch. She lay stunned, momentarily disoriented, her wand clattering away. Nagini, too, was momentarily dazed, coiling back defensively, her hiss a less confident sound. "Now, Harry," Thor shouted, his voice hoarse, pointing the Elder Wand at Nagini. He poured everything he had into it, not to harm, but to hold. A crackling cage of pure magical energy, a prison of lightning, erupted around Nagini, pinning her in place, sizzling against her scales. Harry, seeing his chance, didn't hesitate. With a primal yell, he plunged the sword of Gryffindor, which he had snatched from Hermione's extended pouch, into the struggling serpent. Nagini thrashed, a terrifying, guttural shriek tearing from her throat. The lightning cage flickered violently as her power fought against Thor's hold. Green-black blood pulsed from the wound, and her eyes, filled with ancient malice, slowly glazed over. The life, the dark magic, drained from her. A profound silence descended, broken only by the distant sounds of the battle and the rhythmic lapping of the lake. Nagini lay still, impaled, a lifeless husk. Suddenly, a wave of cold dread washed over Thor. It wasn't a physical sensation, but a raw, emotional one. A shiver ran down his spine, a sense of something vital, something ancient and terrible, having been fundamentally altered. He felt a fleeting, distant echo of immense rage, a chilling howl of fury from far away, a scream of loss. Voldemort. He felt it. He knew. Harry sagged, the sword of Gryffindor still in his hand, his chest heaving. Hermione rushed to his side, her face pale but triumphant. "She's dead," Hermione breathed, tears welling in her eyes. "You did it, Harry. Another Horcrux. He's vulnerable." Thor, still holding the Elder Wand, looked at his allies, then back at the lifeless snake. The feeling of dread lingered, a portent of the storm yet to come. The raw, untamed power he had unleashed, the precision he had found in the chaos, had achieved its goal. But the war was far from over. He knew, with absolute certainty, that Voldemort had felt the destruction of his final anchor to immortality. And a creature so utterly consumed by the fear of death would not take such a loss lightly. The Dark Lord would come, now, driven by a raw, unbridled fury that would eclipse anything they had faced before. The final confrontation was inevitable, and it would be utterly devastating. The air crackled, not just with the residual energy of curses or the screams of battle, but with an escalating dread. Thor, Harry, and Hermione had just emerged from the Chamber of Secrets, Nagini's lifeless body, finally separated from its dark master, still dissolving behind them. The Horcrux was gone, a phantom weight lifted from the world, yet the battle above ground raged with renewed ferocity. "Another one down," Harry panted, his face grim but resolute. "Voldemort. He'll feel that." Hermione nodded, her eyes wide with a mix of exhaustion and urgency. "He'll be furious. And he knows where it happened. He might come looking for us." As if on cue, a chilling, serpentine hiss echoed through the stone corridors, a sound that seemed to claw at the very fabric of reality. It wasn't just a sound. It was a presence, a malevolent force that extinguished hope and choked the very air. Death Eaters, scattered throughout the castle, recoiled as one, then began to chant, their voices a discordant chorus of adoration and terror. "He's here," Harry whispered, his hand instinctively going to his wand, though it remained sheathed. He understood the hierarchy. This was a duel far beyond him, for now. Thor felt a cold tendril of power wrap around him, not physical, but a probing, hateful magic that sought to unravel his very being. It was raw, ancient, and utterly corrupted. He tightened his grip on the Elder Wand, its smooth with thrumming in response, radiating a warmth that pushed back against the encroaching chill. "Then let him come," Thor rumbled, his voice low, a storm brewing within his chest. "Let him face the consequence of his arrogance." A sudden burst of green light tore through the heavy oak doors at the end of the corridor, splinters exploding inwards like shrapnel. Amidst the dust and debris, a figure emerged tall and gaunt, his robes billowing like shadows. Lord Voldemort. His face was a mask of cold fury, his crimson eyes gleaming with a predatory intelligence that sent shivers down even Thor's seasoned spine. Beside him, Two of his most loyal Death Eaters, Bellatrix Lestrange and Lucius Malfoy, flanked him, though they kept a respectful, fearful distance. "The serpent, gone," Voldemort hissed, his voice like stones grinding together. His gaze fell upon Thor, lingering, dissecting. "And you, the brute from beyond. You meddle where you do not belong, Odinson. Mjolnir is not here to protect you now. You are weaponless, a god stripped of his power, clutching a stick you do not comprehend." A cruel, mirthless smile stretched his lips. "That wand, it does not belong to you. It belongs to me." Thor scoffed, the sound a low growl. "A stick, you say? This stick has served me well in cleansing this world of your blight, monster. And as for Mjolnir, its power is mine. It is merely a conduit. Just as this, for now, shall be." He raised the Elder Wand, its tip glowing with an internal, vibrant light. "You speak of power, wizard. You know nothing of it." Voldemort's eyes narrowed, a flicker of genuine surprise in their depths. "Arrogant fool. I am Lord Voldemort, Master of Death. I will show you true power." With a flick of his own wand, the legendary core of Phoenix Feather, and you, he unleashed a torrent of dark magic. A vicious crimson bolt, laced with the essence of pure hatred, shot towards Thor. Thor met it head-on. The Elder Wand flared, and not just a single beam, but a cascade of raw, unfiltered lightning erupted from its tip, a manifestation of Thor's own innate power channeled through the wand's incredible potential. The two magical forces collided with an ear-splitting crack, the sheer kinetic energy ripping through the corridor. Stone walls groaned, ancient tapestries burst into flame, and the very air vibrated with the aftermath. Bellatrix and Lucius were thrown back, sprawling against the stone. "Impressive. For a brute," Voldemort conceded, a flicker of genuine interest now in his voice. He spun his wand, and the floor beneath Thor erupted into jagged spikes of black rock, sharp as obsidian shards, reaching for his feet. Thor merely snarled, planting his feet firmly. With a roar, he slammed the Elder Wand down, and a concussive blast of pure force erupted, shattering the rising spikes into dust and carving a trench in the stone. He charged forward, closing the distance, surprising Voldemort with his sheer speed. "You speak of mastery," Thor bellowed, a primal fury fueling his steps. "But you hide behind shadows and curses. Face me, serpent, as a warrior." Voldemort, momentarily taken aback by Thor's direct assault, recovered quickly. He didn't engage in physical combat, instead preferring the deadly dance of spells. "Avada Kedavra," he hissed, the infamous green light streaking towards Thor's chest. Thor didn't block it. Instead, his body moved with an instinctual grace honed over millennia of combat. He twisted, ducking under the deadly beam as it seared past his ear, close enough to feel the cold touch of death. He was impossibly fast, faster than Voldemort's calculations. Before Voldemort could cast another, Thor was upon him, not to strike with the wand, but with a mighty punch, a lightning-sheathed fist aimed for Voldemort's spectral face. Voldemort evaporated, his form shimmering into a dark mist just as Thor's fist connected with empty air, sending a shockwave through the corridor. The Dark Lord reappeared a dozen feet away, his composure momentarily ruffled. "A physical attack? How? Primitive." His crimson eyes blazed with renewed anger. This god was not fighting by the rules. "Primitive, perhaps," Thor retorted, his breath coming in ragged gasps, the exertion of channeling his power through the wand, combined with the alien magic, taxing even him. But effective. He pointed the Elder Wand, and instead of a single bolt, a crackling whip of lightning snaked out, seeking to ensnare Voldemort. Voldemort parried with a rapid series of dark charms, creating a swirling shield of shadows that absorbed the lightning. "You channel the storm, Odinson," he mused, a cruel smile returning to his lips. "But I command the darkness itself." He gestured, and the air around Thor grew heavy, oppressive, as if the very light was being sucked away. Whispers of lost souls seemed to slither into Thor's mind, attempting to disorient him. Thor gritted his teeth, shaking his head to clear the mental assault. This was different from illusions or mind tricks. It was a pervasive malice that sought to twist his will. He roared, shaking off the darkness, and unleashed a torrent of pure, unbridled lightning, a thunderclap of energy that illuminated the entire corridor, dispelling the encroaching shadows. Hermione, from her vantage point, had been observing Voldemort's casting with a scholar's intensity. His movements are precise, almost economical, she shouted over the cacophony. He anticipates Thor. Don't give him patterns. Harry, seeing an opening, cast a silent protego to shield a group of retreating students from stray curses from Bellatrix, who was now beginning to recover and re-engage. Thor took Hermione's words to heart. His next attacks were less about raw power and more about unpredictable bursts. He would blast a wall to send shrapnel at Voldemort, then follow with a sudden, narrow beam of lightning, or conjure a localized gust of wind to throw Voldemort off balance. He was adapting, learning the flow of this magical combat. His Asgardian durability allowed him to withstand minor curses that would incapacitate a lesser wizard, but he knew the Avada Kedavra was different. He couldn't afford to be struck. Voldemort, however, was also adapting. He ceased his complex, showy spells, focusing instead on rapid-fire curses, each one designed to break Thor's concentration or create an opening. He was testing Thor's endurance, his speed, his resistance. He saw the sweat on Thor's brow, the slight tremor in his arm. You waste your strength, demigod. Voldemort sneered, launching a barrage of slicing hexes. You cannot defeat me. I am immortal. I have cheated death itself. Then you are a fool. Thor roared, deflecting the curses with a shimmering shield of force conjured by the Elder Wand. Death comes for all, serpent. You merely delay the inevitable. He swung the wand, and a miniature vortex of crackling energy formed, tearing at Voldemort's robes. Voldemort dissolved into black smoke once more, reappearing on a balcony overlooking the corridor, higher up. You are tiring, Odinson. I merely toy with you. He began to chant, a guttural, ancient sound that sent vibrations through the very stone of the castle. Dark energy coalesced around his wand, twisting into grotesque, shadowy forms that began to descend. Fiendfire, Thor recognized it instinctively, not just flames, but living, malicious fire demons. Thor, no. Hermione screamed, recognizing the true danger of the curse. Don't let it touch you. It's uncontrollable. Thor knew. This was a direct assault on the essence of life, a corrupting fire. He couldn't meet it with lightning directly, it would merely fuel its destructive hunger. He needed precision, not brute force. He closed his eyes for a split second, focusing. He saw the intricate dance of magic, the Elder Wand's connection to the world around it. He felt the residual lightning within him, not just a surge, but a controlled reservoir. He channeled it, not outwards, but inwards, creating a powerful, localized magnetic field. Then, with a grunt, he thrust the wand forward. A shimmering dome of pure, concentrated energy erupted from the Elder Wand, not a blast, but a perfectly formed shield of golden light, humming with restrained power. It wasn't just a physical barrier, it was a magical counterforce. The fiendfire demons slammed into it, their corrupted forms recoiling, unable to penetrate the pure, radiant energy. They clawed and roared, but the shield held, pushing them back, slowly compressing them. Voldemort watched, his face a mask of disbelief and rage. No wizard had ever resisted his fiendfire like this, not directly, not with such control. The dome wasn't just blocking, it was actively neutralizing his dark magic. With a final, explosive surge of power, Thor's shield pulsed, then imploded inwards, utterly annihilating the fiendfire in a silent, brilliant flash of light. The corridor was clear, not even a wisp of smoke remained. Thor stood panting, the Elder Wand still radiating residual power. He had pushed himself to his limits, using his own unique understanding of energy manipulation combined with the wand's immense capability. Voldemort, seeing his most destructive curse nullified, let out a shriek of pure, frustrated rage. You will not defy me, Odinson. You will not. He raised his wand, his eyes fixed on Thor, but then a sudden, desperate cry echoed from elsewhere in the castle. My lord! The 7th floor. Potter's friends. They're trying to destroy another. The words, though fragmented, struck Voldemort like a physical blow. Another Horcrux. His immortality was under attack. His crimson eyes flickered between the indomitable Asgardian and the distant threat. Defeating Thor here and now would be satisfying, but preserving his eternal life was paramount. "This is not over, Odinson," Voldemort hissed, his voice laced with venom. "You have bought them moments, nothing more. You will fall, and this world will burn." With a final, furious glare, he turned, his robes swirling, and operated away, disappearing in a flash of dark mist, Bellatrix and Lucius scrambling to follow. Thor sagged, leaning on the Elder Wand, his chest heaving. Sweat plastered his golden hair to his forehead, and his muscles ached with an unfamiliar magical fatigue. He had faced foes of cosmic power, but the raw, focused malevolence of Voldemort, amplified by the unknown magic of this world, had been a unique challenge. He had held his own, pushed back the Dark Lord, but the true fight was yet to come. Voldemort now knew Thor was no mere mortal. He was a force to be reckoned with, a new variable in his carefully constructed reign of terror. "He's gone," Harry breathed, looking at Thor with a mixture of awe and concern. You actually made him retreat." Hermione rushed forward, her brow furrowed. "Are you all right, Thor? That was extraordinary. You countered fiend fire. No one has ever done that so completely." Thor merely nodded, his gaze fixed on the empty space where Voldemort had stood. A new understanding settled in his heart. He hadn't just blasted lightning, he had understood the opposing magic, sensed its weaknesses, and countered with a precise application of his own amplified will. The reliance on pure strength was waning, replaced by something more potent, more dangerous to his foe. But he also understood something else. Voldemort hadn't been defeated. He had merely been delayed, his focus diverted. And now, the Dark Lord truly saw Thor. The next encounter would not be a test, it would be a reckoning. The true storm, not of thunder and lightning, but of fate and magic, was yet to break. The air still hummed with residual magic from their last brutal exchange, a ghostly echo of Voldemort's frustrated roar. Chapter 4 had ended with a tactical retreat, not a defeat for Thor. He hadn't conquered the Dark Lord, but he had held his own, forcing Voldemort to acknowledge a threat he couldn't comprehend. That encounter had been the crucible. It had stripped away the last vestiges of Thor's stubborn reliance on sheer godly might, revealing the subtle artistry and devastating precision that the Elder Wand offered. Now, hours later, as the dawn light filtered weakly through the shattered windows of the Great Hall, Thor stood amidst the weary, bloodied survivors. He gripped the Elder Wand, not as a crude extension of his will, but as a perfectly balanced instrument. Its smooth elder would felt like a part of his own arm, its power an extension of his own lightning, refined and focused. "He will return," Thor stated, his voice resonating with a new, quiet authority that transcended his previous booming declarations. His eyes, usually bright with thunder, held a calculating intensity. "He seeks the boy, Harry, to finish what he started, and he seeks to reclaim this Wand of Destiny, as you call it." Hermione, pale but resolute, nodded. "He's desperate. Losing the Horcruxes, it's unraveled him. He's more dangerous, but also more vulnerable." She pointed to a tattered map on the table, tracking the remaining Death Eater movements. "Nagini is still out there, with Voldemort's mind." Harry, leaning heavily on Ron, looked at Thor. His eyes, though shadowed by grief and exhaustion, held a familiar spark of defiance. "I have to face him. Alone. That's how it's always been." Thor met Harry's gaze, a flicker of his old arrogance momentarily asserting itself, before being tempered by the wisdom he had gained. "No," Thor said firmly, a deeper understanding dawning in his eyes. "You do not face him alone. You face him as the champion of this realm, and I am a protector. My presence changes nothing of your destiny, Harry, but it ensures that you are not needlessly sacrificed. We face him as a united front, but the final stroke, if it is to come, will be yours. Just as you spoke of Snape, and the wand's true allegiance. Such intricacies are new to me, but I have learned to respect them." Hermione stepped forward, a glint of steel in her eyes. "We need to lure him out, somewhere open, where his Death Eaters can't interfere as easily, and where we can have a clear shot at Nagini. She'll be with him. Thor nodded. The courtyard. Let us draw him to the open sky, where the thunder can truly speak. He felt it then, not just the raw power of the Elder Wand, but the subtle, intricate connections of the world itself. The latent magic in the stones of Hogwarts, the crackling energy in the very air, all seemed to respond to his heightened awareness. He had begun to understand, not just command. The final confrontation began with a chilling silence, broken only by the distant howls of werewolves and the crackle of burning debris. Voldemort, a spectral figure in the fading night, descended upon the Hogwarts grounds, his rage a palpable force. He came not with an army, but with a singular, murderous intent directed at Harry. Nagini, a colossal viper, coiled menacingly at his feet. Harry Potter! Voldemort shrieked, his voice echoing across the courtyard, punctuated by the cackling of his few remaining loyalists. Come to die. But it was not Harry who stepped forward first. Thor, his silhouette outlined against the rising sun, moved with a fluid grace that belied his immense frame. The Elder Wand was held steady, pointed directly at the Dark Lord. You seek to extinguish light, Voldemort, Thor boomed, his voice layered with the low rumble of distant thunder, a sound he now willed into existence rather than simply waiting for. But there are some lights that cannot be put out, only amplified. Voldemort's crimson eyes narrowed. The barbarian god. Still meddling, I see. This is not your world, outsider. Your pathetic lightning cannot stop true magic. He raised his own new wand, a crimson flash erupting towards Thor. Avada Kedavra. Thor did not dodge. Instead, he met the killing curse with an instantaneous, glowing protego. But this was no ordinary shield charm. It was infused with the very essence of his storm. The green light struck a shimmering, crackling dome of pure, radiant energy. The force rippled, the shield briefly humming with an otherworldly resonance before dispersing the curse harmlessly into the shattered stone around them. The courtyard itself seemed to gasp. Voldemort stared, a flicker of genuine shock crossing his snake-like face. No wizard, not even Dumbledore, had ever deflected the killing curse so utterly, so effortlessly. Impossible, he hissed. You speak of magic as a set of rules, Voldemort, Thor retorted, taking a slow, deliberate step forward, the Elder Wand held like a spear. I speak of it as a river. You have dammed it, poisoned it. I merely allow it to flow, pure and unbridled, guided by will. With a surge of intent, Thor flung the wand forward. A bolt of sapphire blue lightning, unlike any spell Voldemort had ever witnessed, erupted from the tip. It wasn't merely destructive, it was binding. The lightning snaked around Voldemort, not to harm him, but to restrict his movements, momentarily pinning his arms to his sides with crackling bands of pure energy. It was a precise, targeted paralysis, a strategic move. Now, Harry. Thor roared, his eyes briefly meeting Harry's. Harry understood. This was the window. As Voldemort struggled against the magical bonds, Nagini, sensing her master's distress, lunged forward, her fangs dripping venom. But even as she struck, a powerful confringo from Hermione sent her reeling, buying precious seconds. From the corner of the courtyard, Neville Longbottom, his face grim but determined, burst forth, the sword of Gryffindor clutched in his hand. He moved with a speed born of desperation and courage, aiming for the snake. Voldemort, freed by his sheer, desperate will from Thor's lightning bonds, let out a scream of pure fury. He turned, his wand swinging wildly towards Neville, a vicious sectum sempra forming on his lips. But Thor was faster. He anticipated the move, not with an Asgardian leap, but with a flash of insight and understanding of intent. With a furious shout, he pointed the Elder Wand at Voldemort. Expelliarmus. The disarming charm that erupted was unlike anything seen before. It wasn't just a blast of red light, it was a concussion of thunder, a shockwave of raw force amplified by the Elder Wand and Thor's godly essence. It slammed into Voldemort like an invisible battering ram, ripping his wand from his grasp, sending it spinning high into the air. At that precise moment, as Voldemort was disarmed and reeling, Neville brought the sword of Gryffindor down with a mighty swing. The blade, imbued with goblin silver and the bravery of its wielder, sliced through Nagini's neck. The serpent's head tumbled, its body writhing for a moment before collapsing into a lifeless coil. A scream tore from Voldemort's throat, a sound of agony and ultimate despair. His last Horcrux was gone. His immortality was shattered. He was a mere mortal, facing death. Harry, his own wand now raised, stepped forward. "It ends here, Tom." The final duel between Harry and Voldemort was brief, a clash of wills more than spells. The Elder Wand, having been won from Dumbledore by Draco Malfoy, then taken by Harry, refused to truly harm its rightful master. Voldemort's own curses rebounded, weakened and twisted, and with a final, echoing Avada Kedavra that again backfired, Lord Voldemort collapsed. His body hit the ground with a thud, utterly, irrevocably dead. The air itself seemed to lighten, the oppressive dread lifting like a shroud. Silence descended upon Hogwarts, a deep, reverent quiet that soon gave way to a wave of shouts, cheers, and tears. The battle was truly over. Thor stood watching, the Elder Wand still in his hand, but now lowered. He saw the embrace between Harry and Hermione, the joyous, tearful reunion of friends, the sheer, boundless relief washing over the battered defenders of Hogwarts. A small, genuine smile touched his lips. He had come here, weaponless and lost, a god of thunder accustomed to grand cosmic battles. He had learned the intricate dance of a world where courage was measured not in brute strength, but in quiet defiance, in the unwavering belief in love and friendship. The Elder Wand no longer felt like a strange foreign object, nor a simple conduit. It felt like a resonance chamber for his true self, a protector, yes, but one capable of understanding nuance, of empathy, of precision. He had not merely mastered its power, he had mastered himself, learning that true might was not about the loudest thunderclap, but the most precise strike, the most compassionate shield. Suddenly, a shimmering rift tore open in the air above the great hall. It was the familiar, rainbow-colored light of the Bifrost, shimmering, unstable, calling him home. Harry and Hermione, alerted by the celestial display, looked up, then at Thor. "It seems my chariot has arrived," Thor said, a wistful note in his voice. He looked at them, his eyes holding a depth they hadn't seen before. "You have taught me much, my friends. More than I knew I needed to learn." He extended the Elder Wand to Harry. It is yours. Or perhaps, it chose you. I have merely been its temporary guardian. It helped me find a new path, and for that, I am grateful." Harry, after a moment's hesitation, took the wand. Its legendary power felt immense, yet curiously calm in his hand. "Thank you, Thor," Harry said, his voice thick with emotion. "For everything. You saved us." Hermione stepped forward, taking Thor's immense hand in both of hers. "You were magnificent, Thor. Truly. Your strength, your willingness to learn, you were exactly what we needed. A thunder god who chose to be a wizard." Thor chuckled softly, a genuine, heartfelt sound. "I was merely a guardian who learned that sometimes the greatest storms are not those that destroy, but those that clear the air. My own realm awaits, and perhaps a different kind of thunder." He looked at the rift, his gaze distant, envisioning his own world, his own battles, but now approaching them with a newfound perspective. With a final, meaningful nod to Harry and Hermione, Thor turned towards the shimmering light. He took a single, powerful stride, and as he stepped into the Bifrost, he felt Mjolnir, wherever it was, resonate faintly in his mind, a distant hum, a promise. He carried with him not just the memory of a fierce battle, but the quiet wisdom of a world that had taught him that the truest power lay not in the strength of a god, but in the heart of a protector and the strategic grace of a wizard. As the Bifrost anomaly closed, leaving only the tranquil dawn over a liberated Hogwarts, Thor knew one thing with absolute certainty. When he returned to his own universe, the god of thunder would be a different kind of storm. He would be an elder of sorts, carrying lessons of magic and resilience from a realm beyond his own, ready to face whatever cosmic challenge awaited him, not with a hammer, but with a refined will, an expanded mind, and a heart now capable of understanding the nuanced magic of every living thing. And somewhere out there, perhaps even in the deepest corners of space, a certain trickster god was about to be very surprised.